Bonjour, welcome back beautiful glam fam, glam girls, glam everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Bonjour, comment ça va? So in today's video we're going to be talking about all things Paris, international traveling. Particularly this video is going to be about Paris, which is Paris. I'm very excited. So we just got back from Paris and I thought this would be a great time to start an international travel series or just a travel series in general, and this is going to be the first installment where we're going to particularly talk about Paris. If you want to see particularly about flying and airplane stuff in particular, I have a video on that. It's quite old and we're going to touch on the same things in this video, but if you want to go back and watch that one first or watch that one later, I'll put it in the cards and down in the description box. So I'm very excited to get this started because I just came back from Paris yesterday, so I have a lot on my mind when it comes to traveling. I know that there's a lot of questions, and particularly from the fat girl community. You know, there's a lot of anxiety about traveling and things, so you know, being that I've been to quite a few places and we're gonna do all of those videos, I thought it would be fun to start with my most recent vacation, which was Paris. I love Paris. J'adore Paris, and I am very excited to do this video. So let's jump in. So first and foremost, I know that there's a lot of questions about airplane travel, airplane comfortability, and all those kinds of things, and I won't sugarcoat it. It is quite difficult when you are bigger. So for reference, you guys know I am like a size 20 to 24 depending on different brands, but in most brands I could be a 20 to 22. My hips are very large. They're my biggest area, so for me that is the biggest issue, right? It's like fitting in a plane seat, fitting in a lot of chairs. If it has arms, like if you go to a place where the chairs have arms or like arm rests, most of the time I won't fit in those seats. So just to give you guys an idea of my body type, I am quite bigger than I was a few years ago. So I found now that it has gotten harder to fit into movie theater seats, restaurant seats, and airplane seats. So I am there with you in the struggle. I spill over. I totally understand the fear, and that is one of the reasons why I haven't traveled alone since I was a child. Everything, all the traveling that I do with my husband, so it does make it easier for me. So if you're someone who is scared of traveling by themselves for this reason, I would highly recommend traveling by yourself and buying 2 seats. I know it sounds so scary and it sounds so expensive, and it is expensive, but you know, I have to be honest. I don't want to sugarcoat things. I have to be honest. If you are someone who is going to spill out over the seat, you know you don't fit into most seats, you know you're pretty big, you have to be honest with yourself, and I don't think it is fair to subject other people to you know, sitting on other people or making someone else extremely uncomfortable in their flight. Just like you deserve comfortability for your flight, they do as well. So for me, because I travel with my husband, I know that I have that added security that like my husband doesn't mind if I kind of sit on him or kind of like scrunch up next to him. So my trick is that I either get the window seat or the aisle seat and then have my husband sit next to me. If I have the aisle seat, I know that I have the aisle to kind of spill over into. If I have the window seat and the armrest goes up, I have some space there. So that is definitely my main advice when it comes to traveling on airplanes. If you're going to be alone, just buy the extra seat or buy a seat that has more room, or get the aisle seat, and make sure you do your research. I think a lot of people, number one is do your research, because a lot of people don't research airlines. They don't research the airplane that they're going to be in. I look up the airplane, I look up seats, I look up reviews. You want to know what people are saying about these Airbuses or Airjets or whatever the particular plane you're going to be in, because some of them, the armrests don't go up. Some of them are more like uncomfortable than others. You can kind of find that information online. You can find how wide the seat is. If it's 14 inches, 16 inches, 18 inches, those things make a difference, and you can sit at home in a chair, measure it, and see kind of how big it'll be. It is nerve-wracking, but it's worth doing the extra work, because I know for me, United Airlines might have the armrest go up and then a Spirit Airlines might not go up. you know, you might have an Airbus on American Airlines that has rows of 2 seats, and then there's other ones that have rows of 4 seats. So you definitely want to get to know, so that will help remove a lot of that anxiety. When you walk into the plane, you know what you're going into for the most part, and sometimes you don't know, but it's better to be as much prepared as possible and to do as much research as possible. I'm sorry, my neighbor is making so much noise right now, so if you hear that, I apologize. Back to being home, loud neighbors, so I apologize in advance. And also the windows open because I'm hot. So definitely do as much research as you possibly can, and at the end of the day, the safest thing to do is either buy a second seat, or you can get a chair in the back. So another one of my tricks is I like to get the seats that are all the way in the back. They usually end up empty back there. So what you can do is kind of wait and see if there's anything open. You could also talk to the stewardesses and ask them to help you and say, listen, I'm on the bigger side, as you can see. If there is a place that's open and I can switch with someone, or if there is, you know, someone who's sitting alone, maybe they can switch with me. Anything to kind of help so everyone is more comfortable. We had recently on our last flight, when we were coming from Paris back home, the seats in front of us, there was a 3-seater and only one person was sitting in it, but then ours was a 3-seater and someone was sitting next to us. So we told the person that was next to us, hey, for our comfortability and yours, move to the front, because now you'll be with no one next to you, because that is empty. So then everybody was comfortable because we were in a 3-seater and the people in front of us were in a 3-seater. Everyone is more comfortable, and the flight attendants will be so happy that you dealt with it yourself. Sometimes they might say like, wait, I'll help you, and that's fine too, but definitely be open. Don't be embarrassed, don't be ashamed, because at the end of the day, you paid to be on that flight. You deserve comfortability, and you want everyone else to be comfortable too. You don't want to be the person that's causing a problem, and you don't want them to say, oh, you don't fit in that seat, buy another seat. You don't want to end up there. So be proactive, do the research, try to find those empty seats. When you get to your gate, ask people, like, ask the people at the gate, you know, hey, I'm flying alone, but as you can see, I'm on the bigger side. Are there any empty like rows, or is there anywhere that there's only one person sitting, so that I'm comfortable and everyone else is comfortable as well. So it does take a little bit more effort, but it is worth it if you want to save the money and you don't want to buy another seat. There's ways to get around it. Next, with seatbelt extenders, you could also buy your own on Amazon, but every airline usually has their own, especially with international traveling, because the buses, the Airbuses they use and the jets and things can be different. So even if you have, let's say, one from United, it's not going to fit on an EasyJet. It might not fit on a Spirit. It might not fit on a, you know, airline that's international plane. So definitely just ask for one. If you know you're flying the same airline both ways, you can, you know, take one and save it for the next flight. I did that with my flight going to Paris. We were United, and coming back from Paris, we were United. So on the flight to go there, I got my seatbelt extender and I took it with me, so that on my way home I didn't have to ask for it again, and then I left it on the plane. So I didn't technically steal it. I borrowed it for a couple days, but it's not embarrassing at all. I've seen all types of people ask for seatbelt extenders, and honestly, it's because of my hips. It's not even my stomach, so it's like, there's no reason to be embarrassed. Honestly, nobody cares if you ask for a seatbelt extender. If you want to be more discreet, you can ask when you first get on the plane, when you pass by the stewardesses, and just say, hey, I'm at this seat, can you bring me a seatbelt extender when you get a chance? They normally don't forget, but normally, like, no one cares. Everyone's so excited to go where they're going. Everyone's putting their luggage away. I promise you're not that important. No one cares that you need a seatbelt extender. It really is not a big deal, so do not be afraid. So I hope that clears up some of the issues with actual flying. If you guys want even more kind of encouragement and details, go watch that other video, Flying as a Fat Girl, because there's way more information about actually being on the flight and me kind of pep talking you and giving you some of my confidence. Okay, so when it comes to actually planning my trips to Paris, I always start with an idea of what I want to do. What is my goal for this trip? So in particular, this trip was about Christmas. I wanted to see the Christmassy areas. I wanted to go places that I hadn't been before, see things that I hadn't been before. This was our second trip to Paris, but our third and fourth time in Paris. So the first trip we went on was our honeymoon in 2018. We went to Paris and Venice and back to Paris, so that was 2 times in Paris. This time we went to Paris and Copenhagen, so that was another 2 times in Paris. So 4 trips, or 2 trips 4 times in Paris. I think I have a decent grip on the city and explaining kind of my experience and how I plan my trip. So I like to kind of have that in mind. What is the goal for this trip? The goal was to enjoy the Christmas season in Paris and really see things we hadn't seen before. Also have a more luxurious experience, and I wanted to feel like I was really immersed in the culture rather than just there to take like Instagram pictures. I really didn't get a lot of like Instagram kind of photos. I will be posting, of course, what I did, the photos I did take, but I didn't go out of my way to like wear dresses and like get all these amazing shots. I really wanted to just have a nice, enjoyable Christmas experience. So I started there. My goal is to enjoy Christmas experience. So I started looking at Parisian like Instagram pages, Pinterest posts, and finding out what those locations are. Okay, I want to see this, I want to do that, I want to buy tickets for this, buy tickets for that. We knew we wanted to go to Disneyland. We knew we wanted to see a show at the Moulin Rouge because we haven't done that yet. Well, we did now, but we hadn't at the time. There was a few big places like the galleries, the Lafayette Gallery, that we hadn't been to. I wanted to see that. So I had a nice little list in my head. You know, write it down, make a list, make a folder on Pinterest, make a folder on Instagram, and call it, you know, Paris Christmas trip or whatever, and start saving all of those ideas. Once I have an idea of all those things and I have my flight, I have all of that stuff ready, I started looking at hotels that are kind of in the center of where all those different activities are. So if you know you really want to be near the Eiffel Tower, start looking at hotels near the Eiffel Tower. If you know you want to be near, you know, the Arc de Triomphe, you want to look for things around there. If you know you want to be around the Pantheon, if you know you want to be around this or that, you know to find a hotel in those areas so that every time you go out, your hotel is close by to the events or the things you want to do. Now, if you don't care, you're going to be all around, then just stay at whatever hotel you like. But that's kind of how I do it. So for us, our first hotel was near the Eiffel Tower. It was right across because I really wanted the experience of waking up and seeing the Eiffel Tower. But the tower was literally across the street from our hotel. Like, not across the street, but in direct view. So I'll actually put some videos and pictures and things so you guys can see what I'm talking about. And this hotel was really nice. Of course, it depends on your budget. I tend not to have a budget on my trips. I don't care how much I spend. I just want the experience that I want. So that comes into play as well. You know, you have to look at things that are in your budget. For me, I kind of don't have a budget in mind. I kind of know, like, okay, this is around the amount. I guess I do have a budget. This is around the amount I'm gonna spend. What can I get in that amount? And then I kind of go from there. So I knew that I wanted that Eiffel Tower experience, and so I got this hotel for that reason. And it was so lovely because every night coming back from anything I was doing, I knew I could see the Eiffel Tower. We were a 2-minute walking distance to like seeing it pretty close. I'll put a video of that because this is a little tidbit a lot of people don't know, at 1 a.m. they do a light show. So as you know, the Eiffel Tower lights up at night. There's this gold kind of yellow backlighting, and then there's the sparkle lights. At 1 a.m. they turn off the gold backlighting and they leave the sparkle lights for 5 minutes. I'll put a video. It is the most incredible thing you've ever seen, and I really wanted to see that because on our other trips to Paris I had not seen it. So I knew that that was important to me, which is why I got that hotel room. I was able to leave my hotel room at 12:50. I walked myself over to the tower and I just watched it, and it was like the most magical thing I've ever done, and it was just amazing. So like I said, I knew in particular I wanted that experience, and so I looked for a hotel that really gave that to me, and it was perfect. Alright, my radiator just went on, so that noise you're hearing is that. I apologize. So next hotel we stayed at, like I said, we knew that we were gonna go see a show at Moulin Rouge on Sunday night, and so we had a couple days left in Paris after we came back from Copenhagen. So I looked for a hotel that was really luxurious because at that point we were so exhausted, and I knew that what I wanted was like the epitome of luxury, Parisian luxury, and I just really wanted to stay somewhere fancy and also somewhere close to the Moulin Rouge. So the hotel we stayed at next was this gorgeous, expensive, luxurious hotel. We had a jacuzzi tub, and we actually had a hot tub and a full patio with this gorgeous view of Paris, and it was the most amazing freaking thing I've ever seen. Obviously we're gonna do a vlog. I'm gonna do a vlog on my channel of just all the clips that I was able to record, and you guys will see that, and I'll put a clip if I can find one that can fit in the video. It was amazing, and again, it was like 5 minutes away from the Moulin Rouge. So I knew that that was a great hotel for us. The area was quiet, it was easy, it was like in kind of the center of the city where there was a lot around us, and so it just really worked out. So that's how I go about finding my hotels. As far as how I book them, I use hotels.com, Expedia, Orbitz, those websites where I have points or I have an account and I can get kind of a deal per se. Sometimes the hotel's website, if you book directly through them, they might give you a perk. I believe with the first hotel we stayed at, we got our room upgraded because I used booking.com, and I guess they had some type of relationship with booking.com, so we got a free upgrade to our room, which was really, really nice. So it really depends. Just look for the best deal. It does take some research, but you can do it. It's just a couple of days of research, a couple of days of looking at the best deals. You can find all that good stuff. If you have a credit card that you get points through, look at all those deals and see what you can find. I will also leave the names of the actual hotels I stayed at in the description box as well. If you guys want to actually just copy and paste what we did, feel free to use my travels as an itinerary for yourself. That is totally fine with me. I actually love that idea. Maybe I'll put together a full itinerary and like sell it to you guys for like $1 or something, and you can just see exactly what we did if you want to do the same thing. As far as restaurants and things, normally I like to plan a little bit more. With Paris, you do have to plan in advance for certain places like Angelina's, Cafe Marley, things like that, but there are a lot of places that are open late, and if it's down season, you could go in at night and it could be completely empty. So for example, Cafe Flore, which is a really, really famous, probably the most famous Parisian coffee house. It's known for all of the famous writers who used to go there. If you ever watched Emily in Paris, they talk about it in the show. And so I knew that was one of the places I wanted to go to, and they were open till 1:30 in the morning. So one night after dinner, it was already 1 a.m. or midnight, and I was like, babe, let's go now. It's kind of a way to steal an extra, you know, moment without having to make it a big deal. We were already on our way home, and I said, listen, before we go to the hotel, let's stop here for dessert so we can experience it, we can say we went, we can take photos, we can see it. And it was empty. There was, you know, there was a few tables, but it wasn't packed at all. It was real calm, it was real nice. We got to enjoy it calmly at night and get that nice experience. So I like to make a list, and if you know like that you're going in a couple months, make your reservations beforehand, because a lot of places, especially if you're going kind of in the high time, like after March, if you're going between, I want to say February and September, those months, that's gonna be like high time, right? Because you have fashion week and you have the summer and then you have spring, and it's just a lot of things happening. So it's gonna be really hard to get those reservations. So make sure you're making those reservations early for Angelina's and things like that, and buy your, you know, Disneyland tickets if you want in advance and all those kinds of things. I like to buy all my tickets in advance, book all my hotels, I print everything out, and I have a travel folder and I put everything in there. I'll actually show it to you guys. So this is another one of my little tips, is get you a little travel wallet like this. I actually got this at TJ Maxx 5 years ago or something. I've been using it ever since. It's File and Fly, and it's this really pretty little organizer. So it says tickets, passport, documents, receipt, money, boarding pass. And it has a little zipper here. It's a great little filing situation, and I like to print everything and put all my documents in here. You can see I have my passport in here. I have my like COVID tests, my health pass for Paris. You need this to get around as well. Receipts from hotels, and I like to keep all of my travel information in here, as well as like boarding passes. For example, I have a boarding pass here. So everything in here is just like the perfect way to store all of those things. And I like to also print out receipts. I like to print out all of my tickets for things, even if I have them on my phone, because you never know. You never know if you could lose your phone, if you get robbed, if for some reason the hotel doesn't find your reservation and you don't have a phone. In an emergency, there's nothing like having something printed. So I print out all my hotel reservations, not dinner reservations, but hotel reservations, flight information, boarding passes. Just print everything as a backup. You just never know, and it can come in handy, because it has for me in the past. Because what's worse, not having those things and needing them, or just having to throw them out when you get home because you didn't need it. Promise you, it is more important to have the backup. So print everything out, make your reservations in advance if you want to. As far as finding places, I like to just Google you know, the restaurants that I like to use Open Table. In Paris they have the Fork, which is from TripAdvisor, which I believe TripAdvisor has that everywhere, but in Paris they do use TripAdvisor. It's called the Fork, so you could use that as well. Open Table, they have that in Paris as well. I like to use those websites because they already know the kind of food and ambiance that I like, because I use them to make my reservations. So I always use those, and it just makes things easier so you don't feel embarrassed when you go places. So that's how I kind of find places that I want to eat at. And I also kind of search like, okay, best, you know, if you were looking for a croque madame or a croque monsieur. If you're looking for a croque madame, or like, you know, the best like chicken this in Paris or whatever, use that and Google that, you know, best croque madame in Paris and the best baguette in Paris, the best crème brûlée in Paris. Use those kind of triggers as ways to find the lists from different travel sites and, you know, things like that, to find the kind of restaurants you want to go to, and then start Googling where they are. And I like to put things in my Uber app to see how far they are, and that kind of gives you a nice gauge if the hotel you're going to stay at is going to be close enough to all the things you want to do, because you don't want to be at a hotel that's so far away from everything that it's costing you so much money to travel there. If you're using Ubers or cabs, you know, you don't want to go so, that happened to me before because I didn't know. We went to a hotel that was so far away from everything that we had to take public transportation to get places, and it was just a nightmare. So I like to make sure that I'm coordinating how far everything is, so I have an easy time when I'm jetting from the, you know, 8th arrondissement to the 14th, you know what I mean, or from the Latin Quarter to this or whatever. You know, you want to make sure that you're planning so that you don't feel like you're jumping all over the city all the time, if that makes sense. I feel like that was a little confusing, but I think you know what I mean. Okay, so since we're talking about restaurants and getting a table and all those things, I want to touch on number 3, I guess. Number 4, I don't know what number we're on, but the next thing would be speak a little bit of the language. In particular in France, well, Paris is more of a global culture. Paris, New York, London, Milan, these kinds of cities are more of global culture style. So there's more people that are open-minded, you know, in these types of cities where everyone, a lot of people speaks English. A lot of people either speak English, French, Spanish, or you could find people that speak other languages. Obviously, I know a little bit of French, and obviously I speak Spanish and English, so it's a little bit easier for me, and I also can understand like Italian, and I can understand a lot of French, so it can be a little bit easier for me. But if you're someone who has no idea, definitely learn a little bit of the language and try to be open-minded and be friendly and have good energy wherever you go. And it's so important with Parisians and French people. So definitely as an American, especially because there's like that old tension that is kind of old school between Americans and the French, it is really important to have a good energy, be humble and respect the culture, and speak some of the language. Even if you just try, just say bonjour, bonsoir. So those are some of the phrases. So bonjour is a hello, and you can use that any time of day. So if you don't want to say anything else and you just want to keep it simple, just a simple bonjour when you walk in anywhere. Bonjour. It is just the one thing that's going to really help you navigate when you are speaking to people, because a lot of times they know when you're American. If you start speaking English, they'll say, oh, American, or like they'll say parlez français, or they'll say parlez français ou anglais, which is do you speak English or French? So you can always just say, oh no, you know, no parler français, or you can say anglais, or just say English please. Just try to be as friendly as possible, because coming in as like the jerk asshole American being like, hey, what's up, howdy, you know, it's just so rude. And I have to be honest, it is just the worst thing you can do. You're gonna get shit service, you're gonna be treated like crap. It's just not a vibe. And with all due respect, you deserve it, because when you go to another country, you should respect their culture. Americans have such a big head. They're so xenophobic, and they think that everyone should bow down and be like, America's the best. And it's bullcrap, you know. You're going to someone else's country, you're there you know, using up their resources, eating their food, enjoying their culture, the least you could do is learn a couple phrases and be respectful. So bonjour is a phrase you can use to say hello at any point. In the evening time, you can say bonsoir, which is good evening. Bonne nuit is good night, or like, it could also be good evening, but I've never heard any locals say bonne nuit. I think it's more of a goodbye when you're like with friends or family, but in a regular casual setting, everyone just says bonsoir. Like even at midnight, they say bonsoir. So definitely just stick with bonjour, bonsoir, and please is s'il vous plaît. So try to say that as well if you can. And if you're asking for a table and you want to you know, push yourself, you can say a table for two please is un tablé pour deux personnes, s'il vous plaît. So it's a little bit like Spanish, and just practice it. Un tablé pour deux personnes, s'il vous plaît. And I like to add the little sing-songy sound. I feel like it adds more, I don't know, like French people have this kind of sing-songy thing when they speak, and I just love it. Like bonjour, merci, which is another one. Merci, everyone knows that's like thank you. They also say it kind of as a you're welcome. So it's just a nice thing to say. If someone says it to you, you can say it back. People really appreciate it. Even if you speak English and you know, other parts of your conversations with your waiter or whatever, trying your best to pronounce things with a French accent, speak a couple words, really makes a difference. When you're getting your check, do not go check or like give me the check or like do this, you know. Just say l'addition, which is the check. L'addition s'il vous plaît. Really simple, really easy, and it's very much appreciated. And when you leave the restaurant, you always say merci, or you can say au revoir, which is, you know, goodbye. But everyone in France, like even the locals, you hear them say merci, merci beaucoup, s'il vous plaît, or they'll say like merci beaucoup, au revoir, you know. And even the locals are very friendly and very kind to each other, and they treat everyone with respect. So kind of emulate that style. That's what I've noticed, and people really like it. And even if they laugh or chuckle at your bad pronunciation, they really appreciate it. They truly do, and they treat you much nicer, and they'll try to speak English halfway if they don't speak it, or if they do, they'll speak it to you, but they still appreciate when you try. So definitely important to just learn some key phrases. Use Google Translate. The Google Translate app will speak it out loud to you. So if you want to just repeat what it says the best you can, it makes such a difference. So use the app, try your best when it comes to speaking the language. Another thing is I've noticed since my last time there versus now that it has gotten more expensive to take Ubers. So try to take the train. It's very easy. If you come from a city where there's already a subway, you can pick it up really easily. It's not difficult at all to take the subway. It's really nice. So definitely take the subway and save some money, because the Ubers are expensive, believe me. I spent a lot of money on Ubers. Another thing is when you are going to take an Uber in Paris, try to go to well-known spots. So if you see a hotel nearby, if you see a restaurant nearby, try to go to actual kind of places, like any, you know, any nearby restaurant, any nearby hotel, any nearby museum, art shop, things like that. Try to stand in those places and use those addresses, because sometimes, let's say if you're at the Louvre or you're at a random kind of street, it can be harder for them to find you, and since you don't speak the language, you don't want to make it more complicated for yourself. So try to go into the most well-known places, a hotel, things like that, because then Uber will take them directly there and you don't have to do too much explaining. I noticed that that made it so much easier for us to just go to the nearest hotel, the nearest restaurant, and use those addresses so that your Uber drivers know exactly where to go. Because yes, they might live there or they might be French, but they don't know every little sliver and random places you're gonna be. Just like in New York, you know, I live in New York City, I'm from New York City. Even here, if I'm gonna get picked up, I try to go to the nearest kind of real location instead of just being like, oh, I'm on the corner of 5th and 17th. You know, no, I try to find the nearest Starbucks or a restaurant so that the Uber driver can really find me easily. And the same goes when I'm in another country. It's gonna spare you a headache, and it's gonna make it easier since you don't speak the language. Paris is really well known as well for having panhandlers in the street, and they can be quite quite aggressive. So if you go to see the Eiffel Tower, you're gonna see people kind of trying to you know, panhandle and like kind of, I don't know what the word is, ask you for money for the things that they have. So like they'll try to sell you like a little Eiffel Tower statue or some roses or something, and they're really aggressive. So just be very wary with those people. Stay away from them. Not that they're horrible people, but they can be very aggressive, especially if you're, you know, American, or if you don't look like a local, if you're speaking a non-French, you know, you're not speaking French. You know, if you're a tourist, they try really hard to push on you, and they can be very abrasive. So just be careful with those kinds of people. You know, stay away from them. Don't fall into the trap. If you give them any attention, they won't leave you alone. So when it comes to those kinds of people, just stay away. Don't spend extra money on those kinds of little trinkets. It's not worth it. Get you a little Paris keychain or whatever from Etsy. It's the same thing. They're all made in China. So here's some silly things that you might not know, and as an American it might bother you, but this is the reality of the situation. When you go somewhere, if you get a burger, if you get fries, which is already such an American thing to do, it's okay, but don't ask for ketchup. Don't ask for ketchup. And I know you're gonna be like, but I can't. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Now, if they ask you, if they make it a joke like, oh, American, you want ketchup? Then you say, oui, s'il vous plaît, and you laugh, right? And they find it endearing. But if you're like, oh, can I get ketchup, please? Come on, let's be real, Americans. American to American. Let's not do it. Don't embarrass yourself, and don't put a target on your back, because it's so embarrassing and it's just gonna make you stick out like a sore thumb. And even if you are sticking out, try your best to assimilate. You know, just like you love to tell immigrants who come to America to assimilate, you need to assimilate when you're in Paris, okay? So don't ask for ketchup unless they offer it. Just eat your dry fries or eat them with mayo, because that's what they do and it's acceptable. Also, don't ask for ice unless they ask you. Again, they'll make a joke out of it and they'll say, oh, do you want ice? Americans like ice. In Europe, you're gonna get sometimes you'll get a cold beverage, but most of the time it's gonna be room temperature, and you get to really savor the flavor that way anyway. Americans really like our stuff like super cold and like super watered down, and we want it huge. You're gonna get a decent like 4-ounce glass of juice, no ice. Don't complain, drink it. It's gonna be the best orange juice you've ever had in your life. Whenever you go to a restaurant for breakfast, any time of day, get the orange juice. It is always fresh squeezed orange juice with the most amazing, delicious oranges you've ever had in your life, and they are gonna be the best thing you ever tasted, because we don't ever have anything that good in this country. So get some orange juice every time you go out. Get some croque madames. They are amazing. Obsessed. So a croque monsieur is the regular sandwich. A croque madame has an egg on top of it. If you get a really good one, will change your life. Will change your existence. You need it in your life. So definitely have that. Make sure you get a croissant, a baguette, get some cheese, have wine. At restaurants in Paris, it could be 12 and people are drinking wine. So if people around you are drinking wine and they're locals, get some wine too, because that means that they know the wine there is good and it's acceptable to drink wine at that time. So always have wine. Wine is vin, like, you know, coq au vin or whatever, you know, that food. Vin is wine. Yeah, so definitely get you some un verre de vin, which is a glass of wine, I believe. So definitely get you some wine. When it comes to shopping, make sure that if you use your card, make sure that they're putting everything in euros. That way you can get your tax money back, as well as spend less, because our money is not worth as much. So you will spend less if you know, spend euros instead of dollars. So when you go shopping and they ask you dollars or euros, say euros. Also, try to take out some money, even if it's just 50 or 100 euro. It's nice to have cash, because you never know in an emergency if you have to take a taxi, or if you're going somewhere where they only take cash. This actually happened to us. Antonio took out, I think, 100 euro at the beginning of our trip, and he used it, you know, periodically when we needed it. And then the last place we went on the Ferris wheel, and it was cash only, and we had exactly 30 euro for the Ferris wheel, so it worked out perfectly. So always try to have some euro on you. So I think that is it for this video. I think I shared a lot of good information about Paris. If you guys have any more questions, please let me know in the description. I think that pretty much covers it, or let me know in the comments. If anything else comes up, I'll definitely leave it in the comments and like pin it, or I can do a part 2 if I think of anything else. If you guys have particular questions and you have particular things you want me to tell you my experience about, I'll definitely do that for you. I think if I had to guess, I guess probably a lot of you would want to know how they treat fat people. And to be honest, Paris is very open-minded and very fun. If you're going into the touristy places, you might end up... I did have one instance when we were at the Moulin Rouge where I got like harassed in the street. It was really bad. Like, people were like yelling obscenities at me in the street. You are gonna have some people, just like here in New York, there's assholes everywhere. You might have some people. I did have quite a few people like staring at me and things, but a lot of times they're not Parisians. They're either tourists from other places in Europe, or they are French tourists from other parts of the country where they're more suburban and like rural, and they don't really know city life. They're not exposed to a lot of different types of people. You're gonna have that, and you just have to deal with it, and it really sucks. But for the most part, Parisians are so friendly, and they speak English and they speak Spanish, and they are so fun and vibrant and sexy, and they love seeing confident women. And yeah, I have a lot of great conversations with Parisian people. So I think that if you come with a good attitude and you come ready and fiery and just like excited and open-minded and friendly, and you speak a little bit of the language, you're gonna have an amazing time. So let me know if you guys have had some great experiences in Paris. Let me know your best experiences in Paris. Are you going? Does this make you want to go? Is this helpful? Let me know. Are you excited for the next one? Which city should we do next? Should we do London? Should we do Copenhagen? Should we do Venice, Italy? Should we do Rome, Italy? Where else have I been? Rome, Venice, London, Copenhagen. Where else? Yeah, let me know in the comments which place you want me to do next. And then after I do my international series, I definitely want to do, you know, American cities. So like Philly, LA, Miami, Boston, New York. I could do all the places I've been to here in the States as well. So I'm really excited for this series. I hope you guys are too. Should I keep dressing up for each city? Let me know what you think. I love you guys so much. Stay glam, and I'll see you in the next one. Au revoir. Besitos.